Peace, love, light, and poetry, you guys. For I am Nicole the poet, and that's Nicole with 3 eyes, the poet. Okay, had to make sure my roommate wasn't walking in while I was talking, but even if he does, I'll continue. But what to talk about today? Today is a glorious day. As you can see, the sun is very lovely today, as it is always, because even though it was snowing, seeing the ice on top of the rooftop, really was a beautiful view. So, though I was stuck in the wilderness for 3 days with no running lights and water, for that matter, it was still beautiful. It's a beautiful sight to see. Um, Overall, today's topic, what do I want today's topic to be about? Good question, Nicole. Anything new? Anything exciting? I think I've pretty much kept you guys updated for the past week. I want to say. I don't know what to really talk about. I'm just refreshing. It's like having a uplifting spirit today is how I feel. I did some research on emotional intelligence, and I feel like that may be a good topic to talk about because I've realized that a lot of decisions made were based off of emotions, and learning how to deal with certain situations that you may not be accustomed to or it may be new for you to experience. I think having emotional intelligence would be an asset to practice, because it allows you to center yourself and keep a clear mind when making uh, adamant decisions. So that's a good topic to talk about, I should say. I was watching this video on YouTube of another black woman who's a doctor. I can't think of her name, but once I find out, I'll be able to post a link in the description. And she made some vital points about having control over your emotional reactions. And one thing she mentioned was, especially for women, we have a tendency to react out of impulse. And the other vital part that she stated was, because we are human, we are all going to have that emotional effect. And it's okay to feel emotions. Feel them, release them, and let them pass. Don't hold or hover. Am I saying that correctly? Don't hold, those emotions in. And she also stated about constantly replaying emotions, and I've mentioned that several times within this week, discussing about emotional intelligence and being in control of your emotions and not allowing your emotions to control you, and also mentioning about that constant replay that we recapitulate over and over and over again, and all that does is wear and tear on your mind, your body, your emotions, and eventually it really just deteriorates your mind. And so when she said that, I was like, okay, well, at least I know I'm on the right track. I have some sort of confirmation from some like-minded individual who so happens to be a doctor, and she's also a black woman. So it's very relatable. And it really made me feel secured that the decisions that I am choosing to make and how I am choosing to handle them without being emotionally biased about everything or impulsive about how things are um, how things are presented towards me. Another part that she mentioned was um, how you react. You know, everything is based off of how you react. And she also mentioned about you are the creator of your universe, like of your lifestyle, of, you know, how you choose to respond. What you allow in your life is what you've allowed. So you can't blame anyone. She mentioned about, you know, people have a tendency to blame the other person for what they did to you, when you have to take ownership to realize that you've allowed that person to, for you to have those feelings. You could have responded differently, but of course, as humans, we do everything as an instant natural reaction, which is almost impulsive if you don't know how to control that. So once I find the link to this lady's YouTube, I would be glad to reference her in the description so you can take a look at what she has to say. And I like her channel. I didn't even really get to the other video fully. I watched about 2 videos of hers, 1.5, and I was like, you know what, that's a good vital point. And I was glad that she mentioned it. And I also noticed on her channel that I subscribe to, she talks about divine feminine energy. She talks about confidence. She talks about self-awareness. She talks about, ladylike things. And I honestly didn't really pay attention to how important it is to be in tune with your lady self, like with your lady parts, like everything about you as a woman, you really need to be in tune with. And it's okay to talk about these, to talk about these things woman to woman, in general, without having, biased opinions and impulsive emotions about certain things, or even, religion and restrictions on what to talk about and what not to talk about. I mean, I feel it's important as a woman to talk about self-confidence. It's important to talk about, how to take care of your hygiene, talk about your vagina. Like, it should be natural for a woman to have these discussions and really be opened minded to everything, the internal and external and spiritual aspects of your being, of your entire being, especially as a woman, because we are the creators of this planet. So, we are very vital in this world, and our yoni, our universe, our vagina, it is important to understand what that is and how powerful that is to you as a woman. And I didn't fully, watch all of her videos just yet, but the fact that she is talking about it, really intrigued me. So I went ahead and subscribed to her because I said, I'm all for sisterhood, and I'm all for getting to know myself as a woman, because I never took the time to think of myself like that. I carried myself, very poised and sophisticated sometimes, and then other times I have had moments where I was like, man, whatever, and it made me feel less confident. It made me feel real unbalanced, because the reason why the Ankh, the reason why I have the Ankh tatted on me with the lotus flowers, because I do believe that I am a lotus flower. I do believe that, I've come from muddy waters, but I, bloom and blossom as a beautiful flower. And the Ankh, the reasoning behind it, which is the masculine and feminine divinity, is very important to me to have, because I have to understand I came from a man and a woman. So there's times where we as women have a lot of masculinity traits, but we have to learn that balance by being one with oneself and understanding what it's like to, have those masculinity traits, being able to understand men on their level of perspectives, but still keep your divinity, your divine, sensual, sexual, sophisticated, sassy, you know, smarts, you know, your wits as a woman, and to keep that feminine energy at its most high, but make sure that it's not too high to where you're how can I say it? Because I don't want to say too high. I mean, you want to find that balance. Like, there's nothing wrong with being uh uh how can I express this? Think like a man, act like a woman type thing. You know, there's nothing wrong with having that balance, because we do have to partake in the opposite sex as a natural being existence in this world. That's the natural order of this world, is man and woman. So that Ankh represents that to me, and I feel I've had a lot of masculinity traits within me when I was so unbalanced, that was the more that was more of what was portraying out of me in my past life, was a masculine spirit, because I was so used to being tough and doing everything on my own, and I got this, I can do this, I can do that, and it just made me come off so robust and so, you know, strong and masculine. And as a woman to a man, that can be a turnoff to a real man. You know, like, you too strong, you know, you too mighty. My features as well, you know, me being a tall, robust, not robust, but busty woman, you know, some men like that, and then other men may find that as a turnoff. To each his own. It's no big deal. It's just, for me, I realized that I was more masculine, you know, tomboyish, wanted to wear sneakers all the time, wanted to you know, I dress how I want to dress, and it has its, you know, more masculine traits that I was projecting out of me. But at the same time, I was so soft and so feminine that I would still incorporate my feminine, you know, touches to it, to let people know, like, I'm still a girl. You know, even though I may look like a boy, I'm still a girl. And I wanted men to like me, but real men, don't like men. They like women. There are guys who like men that are more flamboyant, more feminine like. So that means their balance levels are not, you know, equal. It's okay to be in touch with your feminine side. It's okay for you to go with your woman and get your nails and your feet done. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's personal hygiene. People just over sexualize things too much, and I don't do labels. I prefer to just keep everything open and honest, and and non-judgmental, because that's too much stress and anxiety. I don't have time for that. But you know, I feel like it's important for a man to be in touch with his feminine side in order for him to understand his woman. As women, we want our men to just know. We like, come on now, you gotta be in tune, you gotta be in sync. Like, what is it that you're not sensing? Like, the senses are off. We're no longer connected here. And as a woman, we want our men to be strong. I would love to have a strong man to just wrap his arms around me and not be like weary because I'm bigger than him, you know? Like, I want you to feel confident. I want you to be strong. I want you to know what it takes to make me happy. And it doesn't take much, because I'm such a child, but in the heart, not in the mind. That it's like, you know, little bitty things. Just, oh, thank you for thinking of me. That's really sweet, you know, like those type of things. And when a man is in touch with his feminine side, he has an emotional intelligence to know how to woo his woman over, how to understand her, how to make her feel, you know, secured and appreciative or appreciated. So it's very important to have that emotional intelligence, that balance. And when I was very unbalanced, I allowed my emotions to take over to the fullest, to where when people would tell me how I was acting, I'd be like, I did that, you know, I said that. It sounds like something I would say, but I don't remember. And it's like a totally different person outside of me when I allow my emotions to take over. So for me, having that emotional intelligence really made me regroup. It really made me function better as an individual, as a being, because regardless of sex, race, or color, I'm a human being, and that alone has its own respect, entirety within itself. And I had to learn how to respect myself as an individual. Like, it's okay for me to want what I want if the other person doesn't want it. It doesn't, he or she doesn't have to do what I do, and I don't have to do what they do. And most people would look at this and be like, that's common sense. Like, who raised you? Well, technically, I raised myself, but common sense doesn't come with everyone. Some things are meant to be learned or to be taught. And the type of person I was, because I knew things ahead of time without having anyone really school me on certain things, most of the things I've learned was very intuitive at a young age. It didn't take much for me to catch on. But then I had learned other traits. I picked up on other behaviors because people made me feel like my thoughts or the way I am, um, wasn't good enough. So it made me question myself. And then I started taking on other people's habits because of how people projected themselves onto me. And I'm thinking, well, shit, if it's like this, then maybe I should do this too. And I guess in a way that would be considered as weak-minded, but it was more of still trying to figure me out. Like, what am I supposed to do in this situation when this is all that I'm around? And no matter how much I'm preaching and teaching about X, Y, Z, everybody like, man, shut up and sit down. And I'm like, well, okay. So now I'm breaking free from all of that, and I'm able to express myself and be able to be adamant about the things that I talk about, because it's important to me regardless of how other people may feel about it. And having that emotional intelligence really made me more profound in my way of thinking about myself and about other people's perspective, is that I don't have to take on the masses in order for me to impact the masses. I don't have to take on someone else's drug abuse in order for me to help them overcome that drug abuse. You know what I mean? Because just because you're in a situation doesn't mean you have to become it. You can be in this world, but not of this world. And that makes vital sense to me, but that comes with learning balance. And you have to find balance through your emotions, learning how to control and center your emotions. And that comes with emotional intelligence, because it's literally logically thinking before reacting out of emotions. So you take both counterparts, intelligence and emotions, and make them coexist. These are words. Make it make sense to you. Use your words wisely. And the more I choose to elevate myself, the more I choose to think about what I say before I say them, the more it makes sense. So emotional intelligence for me wasn't always physical. It was spiritual. It was sexual. It was professional. I had to learn that in every aspect of my entire existence. On the job, in church, trying to figure out, this is really for me, is this really who I want to be? Is what I'm saying really the truth? Being in a relationship, having sex partners, things of that nature, close, intimate sex partners, not just random people, but the fact that you guys are not in a relationship, but you are, involved intimately, that requires emotional intelligence. And I had to learn how to find stability, to find a ground for myself. Because what I've realized is how people treat you is a mere reflection of how they treat themselves. First and foremost, I said this in the previous video. Um, what Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, believe them. When people tell you who they are, believe them. And I've learned that because when you don't have any idea who you are, you will just willingly accept whatever anyone gives to you and think that this is what it's supposed to be. Not everything that glitter is gold, and gold is not glitter. So that's another thing to really think about. Like, what's in front of you? Pay attention to that. Ask questions. Man, I cannot stress that enough. I honestly, the main reason why most of the things that play out as an inconvenience in my life is because I didn't ask enough questions. What happened was I was questioning myself too much. I was questioning the wrong people. I should have been questioning the source. When you get that hunch feeling about something not being right, and you have all of the reasons and resources to connect the dots, and everything is starting to come together, and you still question, like, is this really true, or am I tripping? Instead of you going to the source and asking questions, I questioned myself. And it lowered my frequency. It lowered my vibrations. It lowered my self-esteem. Because I was willing to accept whatever they were offering. Because I didn't question if I was worthy. If this is worthy enough for me. I didn't question, that person, because I was like, well, maybe they just, X, Y, Z. Trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. No, trust yourself. Trust yourself. You are worthy. And when you feel that way, question it. Speak up. Speak up right then and there. It doesn't have to be a confrontation. Just ask a question. Was it something that I did to make you speak this way towards me? Why would you even say this? What happened? Are you okay? And I realized that, to me, is how you really strengthen up your intelligence, because you've allowed yourself at that moment to address the situation directly, like head on. You leave no room for any manipulation. When it's straightforward and direct, the only thing a person can do at that time is tell you the truth. I mean, unless they're just a good liar, and they are real swift on their feet, that's the only way something like that could technically manipulate you. But if you hit it head on, and you're asking the right questions, and let them be open-ended responses. Don't give them the answer in the question. Don't shut yourself down immediately. That's where the intelligence comes in, because now you're thinking. Because you're asking questions. Questions is curiosity. And you're curious because you're thinking. So, yeah, ask questions and don't second guess yourself. That's where the intelligence comes in, with controlling the emotions and having the emotions and the intelligence coexist. So that's a real, true, vital point. And tip, I guess, same thing. That I think that really helped me in the situation. And I'm hoping, with that being said, with other people who have spoken out about this, do your research on certain topics to kind of gain other people's perspectives. It's good to have an open mind, because that leads to diversity. It leaves you expanding and wanting for more. And emotional intelligence is really important, because it really helps in every aspect of your life. So that's pretty much it for today. I may do some poetry. I haven't written in a while, but I keep my notepad on my phone. It's open all the time. So I have some poems that I'm still rehearsing and revamping, editing, revising, I should say, and hopefully I'll be able to perform these on stage real soon. Um, but I'm still working on it. I have to go and switch over to my podcast now. So those who are not able to uh, watch videos because they're driving or maybe working out, things of that nature, um, they can tune in to my podcast. Peace, Love, Light, and Poetry by Niiicolethepoet. And everything is listed in descriptions, my bio on Instagram, Twitter. I do have a Facebook, but I would have to turn that into a business page instead of a personal page for my poetry. But other than that, yeah, I don't really have anything else to just talk about. I really did want to address that situation, well, not situation, but topic, because I feel like it was very uh, important and a huge confirmation for what I needed this morning based off of the video that I seen. It really confirmed what I've been talking about for the past week, and I'm glad that I'm able to have this open discussion with whomever is watching and really just bring a deep intellectual conversation for other people like myself who may just want somebody to talk to. I don't mind reaching out, DMs, comments, emails, things of that nature. I don't have any problem with just holding a conversation because sometimes all we need is just someone to talk to. So, peace, love, light, and poetry, for I am Niiicole the Poet, and that's Niiicole with 3 eyes, the poet. Thank you for tuning in, not only onto my podcast, but spiritually as well. Signing off today, this is topic emotional intelligence. So, thank you for listening.